That's exactly right. Today in the Celsius Club, which is here on Twitter Spaces around lunchtime, I made sure everyone knew to tune in. I let them know they might hear some good information today. So hopefully we'll have a nice crowd today. Hey, Zach's on. How are you doing, Zach?
Hey, good. I saw this. This space has got a ton of attention on the retweets, so I'm hoping we have a great turnout this evening.
No doubt, yeah. Rogelio, welcome in. What's going on?
Hey, how are you, George, Scott, Zach? No, I'm very excited, and I wanted just to thank all of you for the time we invest here in helping others do well and do good, and just say good evening. I'm excited for all the news that are coming up. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for joining up on stage. Do you have any feedback for us other than just cheering us on up here?
No, I'm excited that maybe Scott will laugh with me. I'm excited that with the new app, and I go into my Cell app and I see the swap. And I say, wow, if you be patient, you be tolerant, things will come up to you.
I'm so glad you got it.
Yeah. So that's what
Go ahead, Rogelio. Once again, guys, share the room out. Let everyone know that we're live. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want to join us up here on stage, just tap on the mic. Got some good stuff to go over. In fact, Zach, is there anything that you want to begin to cover now? Anything that might have happened over the weekend, etc.?
I don't think we had any major updates over the weekend. The biggest realization was working towards getting Cell able to be used as collateral for stable coins, and it's a bit of a complex situation, but at the end of the day, if the community can crowdfund liquidity on Quickswap on the Cell ETH pair, and we can get that to $10 million on each side, $10 million of Cell token, $10 million of ETH, then we can push for Cell token to be used as collateral, and then once that happens, we can mint stable coins using Cell token as collateral on QiDao, and then deploy those stable coins for high yield that can then go back into Cell token. So this is really a huge opportunity. We're working on this from a couple of angles, but we really need the community's help in order to get this out. I know there's some guides coming out shortly on how to add liquidity. And we've got to jumpstart this process so that we can get the yield going. This is like the first time that we've ever had a real opportunity to get Cell token to be a productive asset in the market, and that is hugely beneficial for Cell token holders directly, in that it allows us to raise the yield on Cell token as it's generating more yield. So really big opportunity there, and we're going to be making some major pushes over this in the next 2 weeks to make sure that, or to ask the community to get this off the ground.
And Zach, I think one side effect of this will be that the community can actively take part in a huge development and be right there with us as the company does our part in making things happen. The community can actually greatly help what we're doing. So once we get to the point where we want to get to, I think everyone will be able to celebrate. So that this is a nice way to get everyone involved.
Yeah, definitely. It's a breakout moment. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, this generating yield on Cell token is a huge challenge and has been a huge challenge. It's tough to get adoption, and especially when you don't have any inflation, there's no passive income in that way. So to be able to back stable coins with Cell token and then be able to deploy those stable coins at 10, 12, 14%, then we can direct that yield back to Cell. Hugely beneficial for everybody. So we're really pushing to make this happen. And then on top of that, once we get this base foundation of liquidity, we can start doing other financial products, other services on DeFi that will allow us to generate even more yield. But this is the first step is getting that liquidity up on Quickswap.
And let's bring that up again throughout the night as the room continues to populate, Zach, just to make sure we're spreading the word properly, because this is more important than maybe people understand. This is going to be big. This is going to be a dramatic change, and basically the Cell token can become a productive asset finally on our platform. On my end, I do have a bit of news. About an hour ago, I got a proof of some of the NFT badges. They look really, really good. We're going to have them out to you guys soon. Hopefully I can tease one of them by the end of the week. And you guys are going to be able to collect these, and there's going to be all kinds of utilities unlocked and rewards that you'll get in time. But I'm going to start processing these and getting them out to you guys as soon as possible. But more on that hopefully by the end of the week. Jay Gels, what's going on?
Hey guys, can you hear me? Am I coming through?
Yes, sir. Go
perfect.
For it.
Yeah. So in terms of what you guys were just talking about with using Cell as collateral to mint stablecoins on QiDao, we need the liquidity from the community to go up. So Cell token and ETH on Quickswap in order to get that to happen. It sounds like so if as a community member I go and put my Cell token up as liquidity, I think I'd have to put up both pairs, so Cell and ETH, over on Quickswap. If that goes through and then Cell token can be used on QiDao, mint stablecoins, be used in these different DeFi applications, that's obviously going to be really beneficial for the Cell token. Hopefully make the Cell token actually go up in price. Hopefully it goes up in price relative to ETH, or relative to everything, but relative to ETH. And then that's going to actually result in impermanent loss for me in providing liquidity on Quickswap. So I'm just curious, in terms of the incentives that we're providing to people who are putting up their liquidity in the first place, because they're going to be bootstrapping this whole thing to begin with, and it might actually end up being the case that they end up taking a little pain for it in the form of impermanent loss, where their balance gets redistributed between, you know, out of Cell token into ETH as the price of Cell goes up, and they might actually end up hurting a little bit from this. So do you guys have the math on hand in terms of the liquidity incentives that we're putting up, or how that's going to work out, or how much Cell token would have to go up in order to, I guess, disincentivize people, even in in association with those liquidity incentives?
So on Quickswap, there's a small fee on every transaction that goes back to liquidity providers. But yeah, if one of the assets goes up relative to the other, then you get a permanent loss, and that's just a feature of all DeFi liquidity pools to date. So yeah, there is that level of risk, right? You do collect those fees, but if one asset does extraordinarily better than the other, then it can cause the IL. And that is something you have to consider, right? So if this is not something that you want to do, or you're something you're very concerned about, then, you know, this wouldn't be an action you want to take. But, you know, this step, and I'm going to be doing it personally myself, putting some liquidity there, is going to help Cell token get to a much higher capacity of utility on DeFi, which will then lead to much higher yield rates in the long term. So, you know, I'm willing to put up some of my ETH and my Cell token in order to get us to the promised land. And if others want to, I'm very appreciative of that, and then I hope you can. But if not, you know, it's no big deal, and we're going to try to make this happen regardless.
Thank you for that. I think that kind of helps me define the risks that are in place and all that is to be potentially gained from the new utility use cases, ability for the Cell token to be integrated more deeply into the ecosystem. So thanks for that. That helped clarify a lot of things for me.
I look at it like, if I put up $50,000 of liquidity on both sides, but then my Cell token goes up dramatically, I'm going to come out well ahead. And then if I can continue that forward and actually earn higher yields on Cell token, I'm still going to come out way ahead, even if I do take some IL in the short term.
And worst case scenario is you end up with a little bit more ETH, and there's worse things in the world.
Exactly right, and it's not IL isn't IL is kind of tricky because it's not like you're losing money. It's just you're losing returns that you could have had. So you kind of end up with the same or close to the same value at the end of the day, regardless. But if one of your assets goes up dramatically, you don't get all of those gains. You lose some of those gains. But again, on a small portion of my portfolio, I would be happy to do that and take that risk in order to bring the holy grail of utility to Cell Token, which is more yield.
Thanks for that, Zach. I appreciate it.
Yep, and we're all going to be doing our part to get there. And Zach, did you tell them how far we have to go? I think it's 8 something, right? Is it 8 million?
Yeah, so when we were looking at this yesterday, there's already $1.3 million worth of liquidity. So we just need another 8.7 million to get us to that first milestone. And then that's when the magic starts happening. So, we're not starting from zero. We're already off the ground, and we just got to get to that point. And then again, like earning yield, to take this back even further, there's a huge concern about right now Celsius pays 6.4% on Cell, right? If you're a platinum user holding Cell on the platform. And in theory, if Cell Token were to go to $100, that would be a massive problem for Celsius, because now we wouldn't be paying 6% on a $3.50 token. We'd be paying 6% on a $100 token, which costs way more money. So right now, because Cell Token doesn't yield anything, or yields very little natively, that's a problem. Versus like if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, that's not an issue because we're earning that Bitcoin on Bitcoin. But if Cell Token does it and we're not earning yield on that Cell Token, then we would be forced to lower rates at some price, right? So by having Cell Token become a productive asset, we take that risk off the table, where if it's being used as collateral for stable coins, it doesn't matter what the price of Cell is. The yield will be sustainable because it's being generated from Cell Token itself.
Jay Gels, did that help summarize everything?
It absolutely did. Thank you very much for the time.
Sure. Thanks for coming up. Mark, what's going on?
What's up, fellas? I'm not sure if this elephant has already been addressed. I'm not sure if you guys are tracking the whole Blockfi situation. I believe it was the SEC that's suing them over that stuff. And you know how all the institutions are kind of having a rough time with the fact that. I'm sorry?
We'll talk about all that. I said we'll talk about all that stuff when Alex comes in. That'll be the first thing I ask him. He can kind of give us his thoughts. I've asked him personally, but I think it'd be great for him to address the community on all that at once.
All righty.
Any other questions while you're up here, Mark?
No, that was really it. That's the whole reason why I popped into this AMAs, because I was kind of freaking out. But yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, there's nothing to freak out about. But yeah, when Alex comes in, we'll ask him that right out the gate, and then if you're unable to hear it, there'll be a recording as well. So don't worry, we always address the elephant in the room.
Sick.
You're also not alone on that, Mark. I've received a number of emails and calls on that today. So many people are right there with you, waiting on that answer from Alex. So yeah, just stay tuned.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep. Thanks for coming up. Ash, what's going on?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, go for it, Ash.
Sweet as. Hey, I just got a quick question in relation to the rewards distribution. Zach, I think you might have put a post out on Twitter maybe a few weeks ago talking to this to some extent, but there's been some questions floating around the community about not late rewards at any. I want to say that up front. We're not saying that they're late, but we're seeing some delays with the rewards trickle through to users. I think myself, I've seen some changes in the realm of maybe about 8 to 10 hours later than, say, the last sort of couple of years as I've been receiving them. And I was just wondering if that might have anything to do with the number of users that are coming on board, if that's some scaling things that are being looked into. If anyone can provide some insight into that, possibly.
Yeah, it's really nothing material. I kind of find it funny that Celsius has paid rewards every Monday for the last 4 years and has not missed one. Not one week has gone by without Celsius paying rewards. And even if rewards come later in the day than what people are expecting, we see stuff on Twitter. I get emails from clients, and people get very concerned very, very quickly. So just so everybody's aware, the rewards can come in anytime on Monday, and then even depending on your time zone, it may be Tuesday morning, right? But in the history of Celsius, no one has ever received their rewards on Wednesday, right? We always get them out, and again, a time zone thing might put you at Tuesday morning or Tuesday midday, but Wednesday it's never happened. So rest assured that that's not changing, and if we change around the payout time zones, that's got nothing to do with really anything. It's kind of, I think it's really a security thing at the end of the day, but because there was so much concern these last 2 weeks, I am putting in a request to see if we can standardize like a time zone or a time in each time zone, call it 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., so that on Monday, hey, it's 10 a.m., you check your app, boom, there are your rewards. Because interesting, I was looking at some data today that we get between a 40 and 60% increase in app logins on Monday, every Monday. So that's when most of the users log into the app most of the time is on Mondays. So I feel that we're creating kind of a unnecessary maybe concern or like whatever an uncertainty in people that's not necessary. And if we could standardize the times across time zones or do it at a certain time every time, that would make people feel much more comfortable, because the level of sensitivity to this is extremely high. They are watching. Everyone is watching on Monday. Hey, when is my stuff coming in? When is my stuff coming in? And if it comes in even a few hours later than what they're used to, people get concerned and worried, right?
Yeah. So that's really good. Now, I like I said, I have zero concern that the rewards will be paid out. That was definitely, I want to make sure that's really up front. I've no concerns about that whatsoever. I mean, for you can see in the app that rewards are trickling through even before the notification from the app itself arrives and the email arrives. So we can see them coming through. It's more that full notification, but it was just more of a question for clarity than anything, and not a concern. But thanks for the response there. I appreciate it.
Also, Ash, I would suggest anyone do something what I did yesterday for a good friend of mine. She was concerned about her reward. It was 7 p.m. and I said, you know what? I've received rewards at 3 a.m. and then I've received rewards at 8 p.m. Sometimes it just changes. So I said, let's open your app and look. So her Cell token reward was there, Bitcoin was there, ETH was not there, USDC was there. So she was only waiting for one reward. And I said, the formal notification is not going to come in until all rewards are paid. So if you can look in your app and look at your individual assets, you'll see each one of them are being paid, but there may be one that's not paid yet. So that's when you get the formal notification. So everyone should be aware of that. But Zach makes a good point also. It should be time zone sensitive.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for coming up, Ash. Good question. Next up is Jason.
What's up, guys? How's everyone's life going?
Doing good.
Great.
That's good. I missed the first half. With that liquidity that we need to get up to, the 8 million and change, what pairs was that on? Or is it just Cell token?
Cell ETH pair on Quickswap.
Is it just straight ETH, or does it matter?
I think it's wrapped ETH because it's on Polygon.
So the CX doesn't work?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I have to
Okay.
ask. That'd be a
All
good
right.
Josh question.
Joshua? Okay, I'll hit him.
Yeah.
Joshua
All right,
X.
guys. Yes. So you see, I put a post up. Yep. And you see my post. I'm already in.
You're already using CelsiusX. That's not even launched, huh?
I figured it out.
Nice one. Did that conclude your thoughts up here, Jason?
Yeah, guys. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for coming up. Guys, just a reminder, share the room out. Let everyone know that we're live. And if you want to join us, just tap on the mic. Next up is Matthew.
Hey, you had mentioned, I think when you were talking about one of the other things, that there's a recording of these. Where do I find that? Because I miss things all the time if I'm not able to be on for 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think it's Aussie Crypto that runs the channel. Does anyone know?
Yeah, you can find it on Celsius.network now, I believe.
Awesome.
Yeah, just follow that Twitter.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yep, no worries. Taylor, you're up next.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I was just seeing if the Celsius team's going to be at ETH Denver. I was watching some members from the CelsiusX team, but more, I was like, kind of referring more to the like the other side.
I don't think so. I think it'll just be some of the CelsiusX team.
I believe it's just Carl and one or two others. I don't know if it's the full team from what I remember, but we'll look into that for you, Taylor. Do you have any other questions?
No, that was it. Just a quick one. Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Thanks for coming up. CIJR. Welcome in.
Hey guys, thanks for calling me up. Just a quick question. I'm looking to set up some automatic transfers into Celsius, and I was wondering how often, if at all, our unique wallet addresses change.
Periodically, but not on a set time. So I would be very careful when doing that. Some of it can be because of custodial changes, and some of it is just address changes within the same system. So if you're going to set up an automatic transfer, I would be very cautious in doing so and always check beforehand, before those coins get sent.
Okay, thank you.
Is that Tecmo? Is that Tecmo's voice?
It sounded like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I think he's switching it up on us.
Yeah, he's going to keep it muted. All right, well, thanks for coming up. Otis, did you have any questions while you're up here?
Nothing really. Just here listening, and I was hoping to hear something about the tiers, if especially gold and silver tiers. Any news regarding that respect, or when that's going to be flushed out?
Yeah, so I made that submission last week, and I know Alex and I have been following up diligently on that. I haven't heard a date yet, but it is in process for getting those token caps on gold and silver as well.
Okay, thanks.
It's in the queue, sir. Hopefully we are able to announce something soon. Jimmy, welcome up.
Hey guys. Hey, with that question, I got a couple things, but with that question about the time when the rewards are coming in, correct me if I'm wrong, but it really doesn't matter what time your email comes. Everybody's rewards are effectively in their account accumulating more rewards for the following week. Correct? I mean, if somebody gets their email officially or the rewards trickle in at 3 in the morning for one person and somebody else doesn't get it till 8 p.m. that night, they didn't miss out on 12 or 15 hours of reward or earning interest. And so that I think somebody might have been unclear earlier. I think they might have. It sounded to me like they were concerned that if it takes longer, they're missing out on some potential interest. So I just
not at
clear.
all. I mean, the calculations are done at Friday at the same exact time every week. So that's not an issue there. It's just the email notifications and when it shows up in a user's account can change week to week, and people get a lot of anxiety over that. So I think it's something that we should look into as a company to say, let's not cause this unnecessary anxiety. The new users don't know that we've never missed a reward, but when they've been here for 3 weeks and then something changes, they think that Celsius is not going to pay them, and that creates this negative feeling for no reason.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then the other thing is with this liquidity that's going to be added, you said there will be some very clear like videos and things coming out for people to do this.
Yes, yeah, we got a couple people working on videos and guides on how to add liquidity.
Okay, and then the last thing, I messaged Tal today, but she responded that that you had already brought it up. I told her that somebody had brought up on Twitter Spaces about paying your loans in USDC as opposed to sell, but to still get the discount as a platinum or get the whatever discount you deserve. Because I think the key with that from the other day was the fact that it created a taxable event, and I had never thought about that. And I think that's the one thing to harp on. And she said it would take some development, but maybe that's something you guys can push on, because I actually think that's a really big factor going forward. It made me switch off my paying and sell automatically just because I had not factored that in of just having a taxable event.
Yeah, I agree, and I did message her that very same day, and she told that. So we're gonna have to consider how much development work that takes, and unfortunately, we won't be able to implement that solution in the near future. But I think it makes total sense, and we should move in that direction.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks for coming up, Jimmy. Guys, remember to share the room out. Let everyone know that we're live, and if you want to jump up on stage, please do so by tapping on the mic in the bottom left. Palisade, what's going on?
Hey there. Just a question about CelsiusX. Is there going to be any liquidity mining rewards, or is it just trading fees? And I guess if there was any rewards,
Trading fees? What trading fees?
I guess what's the incentive to provide liquidity then?
Well, for CelsiusX, the liquidity is in Celsius, so we're paying yield on those assets regardless.
Okay, so it would just be you guys providing the APR based on that asset. Then there's no trading, there's no like liquidity pair.
Correct. Yeah. I mean there might be other platforms that develop on CelsiusX or use CelsiusX Rails, but natively itself, it's not a service or a tool that generates yield, because we do it fee free. But by being a part of Celsius, you can get that yield, but then also use CelsiusX to your advantage.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Thanks for coming in, Palisades. Next up, Rod.
Hey, thanks for having this AMA. I had a couple of questions. First, I'll start with a shorter one. When I'm moving more and more of my assets onto Celsius. So I'm curious, the Matic token that's supported on Celsius, is that ERC20 or is that native Matic?
It's ERC20.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And the second one, in one of the AMAs, Alex mentioned that that you guys provide APIs to invest to Voyager platform as well, and they're offering yields on stable coins here in Texas. So I'm curious why Celsius is not able to do that.
Celsius takes a very by the book approach to regulatory compliance, and other companies do not take such a careful approach. But in the state of Texas right now, unless you have a specific license, you cannot offer stable coins. And you might want to check with any other provider if they have that license and if they are offering stable coins in Texas.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks for coming up, Rod. Jason B, make sure you're unmuting yourself to chat.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, go for it.
Hey, Zach, I know you said we'd wait for Alex, but can I just throw out there, I just been thinking all day about the Blockfi, and if someone will just humor me and speculate, I'm trying to understand the impact on Blockfi. Zach Prince was on CNBC, and he acted like this was a net positive. They're going to register the BIA, the Blockfi interest account, as a security, and almost that would kind of restart their business. And so I'm just asking if for any intel or any opinions about, could this be considered a positive for Blockfi?
I'd rather wait for Alex to come in. I mean, I saw they put a very good positive spin on it, and that's fantastic for them. I'll wait for Alex before he comes in and makes a comment on this.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, hang tight, crew. Jason, thank you for coming up. Reagan, you're up next. Reagan. He may have stepped from his phone. Todd.
Hey, Josh.
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah, I got you.
Go.
Sorry, my phone locked. Hello?
Yeah, go for it, Reagan.
Thanks, man. Sorry about that. I was just wondering if you could explain a bit more regarding the Quickswap and liquidity pairs. Celsius has got a DeFi arm. Why is it in this particular instance it needs to be sort of individual users putting up the liquidity, and why can't Celsius sort of do it themselves? Cheers.
Yeah, it's a great question. And obviously that was the first thing that we asked. But because Quickswap doesn't block US users, the company can't directly provide that liquidity. We're looking at other options as well, but part of this equation can be really helped by the community because they have the freedom to post that cell token pair there, where the company just can't do that right now.
Okay, that's cool. And is there any options to provide single-sided liquidity, or does it have to be the pairs at the moment?
I don't think so. I think you do have to put the Cell ETH both up there.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Also, thanks for the shout out. I do record these and post them, so if anyone wants as well, feel free to follow me and you can catch them there. Thanks, bye.
Thank you first, sir, for doing that.
Yep, and thank you for coming up. Thank you for coming out, Reagan. Todd, you're up next.
Hey, Zach, Josh, Scott. I have a strange question, and I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but I'm wondering if the transparency culture of Celsius is somewhat of a distraction to implementing new projects and day-to-day operations for you guys. I'm more thinking about like what it's like to work there with doing the push model for transparency versus the pull model where I could just download or consume on my own time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think transparency takes that much time or energy. I mean, we put things like the community page that are very easy to see and update, and then we put out proof of community, which it did take some resources to get started, but now that's like an encyclopedia of all Celsius backend information. So I don't think, like, from a day-to-day, I don't see that being a hindrance, and there's just a handful of people on the team that are actively working with the community directly. Myself, Scott, Josh, the community managers, Alex, and then the people that join the AMA from time to time. So I don't see it as a huge hindrance by any means.
I appreciate that, Josh. I really enjoy these on Tuesdays and Fridays and everything in between that you guys do. It certainly brings me peace of mind and comfort. And I just kind of giggle when people complain or bring up that, I didn't get my yield at 9 a.m. and I used to get it at 9 a.m. and today got it at 2. And so that's that transparency part that I'm talking about too. It's not just these, because I can hear a little frustration sometimes, Josh, in your voice. You're like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So in that perspective, I would say yes. For me, it can be frustrating at times because we're so transparent that people will pick up on these tiny little things and it will become a big deal for them. And yeah, that can be frustrating at times, but it's all part of the job. If that's the worst part of my job, then I've got nothing to complain about.
Fair enough. I appreciate it. I just I love Celsius and enjoying continuing to be a Celsian. And cheers to all of you. Good night.
Yep. And thanks for coming up, Todd. Work is for losers. What's going on?
Hey, not too much. I joined in 2020 and just wanted to thank you guys for working hard and talking with everybody every week, multiple times a week, and being transparent. And thanks for the coins and your hard work. That's it.
Yeah, thanks for coming in and being a Celsian.
Also, thanks for the shout out because it's not often we just get someone saying thank you. So it means a lot. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.
100%. Thanks for coming in. Laura, what's going on?
Hi, everyone. I have a question in regards to helping new users register on the app. And these are users that use a tax ID number, individual users that use a tax ID number versus a social security number. So before the update on the app, we were able to skip the KYC tax information until we reach out customer support or send the email. And we were able to get their coin address so that they could make their initial deposit. And now with the new app, it just keeps on giving you first of all, it keeps on giving you the error because it does not, it seems like it doesn't recognize their tax ID number, like it recognizes social security numbers. And because you have not completed the KYC, now it will not allow you to make that initial deposit. I was wondering if that's the way that it's going to work now for these type of individuals with the new app, or maybe something didn't transfer to the new app. I don't know if you can talk about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think any policies changed, so I would guess that that's a UI situation. But if you could please send me an email with kind of the details you just covered, and tomorrow I can talk with our guys and look into that more thoroughly.
Great. And then the other question is this procedure going to ever improve in terms of registering new users with a tax ID number?
What do you mean by improve?
Because when you register somebody with their social security number, it does recognize it, and it just tells you to wait a few minutes or maybe an hour or maybe 24 hours until the KYC is completed. Mm-hmm. But for these individuals with their tax ID number, it does not go through that same procedure. You have to send an email with a screenshot of their letter that was issued by the IRS, where it shows that they were assigned that tax ID number.
Yeah, I would say it's probably because nothing on the back end changed, but the UI UX did. So I would say that how that ID or that tax number is interacting with the new system is different. I don't think we changed anything purposefully, but Again, just give me the details in an email, and then I can follow up with that team and see if this is something that maybe was just overlooked or this is a new change.
Great, I will do that. Thank you, Zach.
Thanks for coming in, Laura. Next up is Pimkin.
Hi. Is there a limit on the number of outstanding stablecoin loans a user can have at any given point in time?
No, there is not.
Okay. And I have like a weird question, but like I don't know, like I'm just a little worried, that maybe like how do I know that at one point, Celsius employees, do not take everything and just, go with all the money.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a trust business, and we always recommend to not put in assets that you feel uncomfortable with. So, if you feel uncomfortable with X amount, then do less than that, because we don't want you to have a tenuous relationship with us at any time. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. You can put in a small part, half, full, whatever you feel comfortable with, but don't put coins in Celsius that you feel uncomfortable with Celsius having. That's a lose-lose for both parties.
Sounds fair. Thank you.
Yep, thank you for coming in, Pimkin. Next up is Jay.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Great job as always. I just have a quick question, and I was reading about this new tax news about the staking rewards, and I'm not sure how clear it is or not. But my question to you guys is, when we get rewards from Celsius, should we just treat them as interest income, or is there a differentiation between interest and staking rewards based on the coin?
Yeah, right now we're reporting it all as income, but we've seen that change, and we are looking at updating some things in order to reflect that new tax guidance. So we'll have an announcement on that later on, but we are looking at that.
Oh, that's perfect. Do you guys know the timing for that announcement? Would there be time for 2021
no details
taxes?
yet. Probably won't be anything for this year's taxes because we've already sent that 1099. But we're looking at this and gonna make some revisions going forward.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, guys. Great job as always. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for coming up, Jay. Next up is Lou.
Hey, good to hear from you guys. I got a question about rewards or promos. If you have one of those new promos, like where you get if you deposit 20,000 of Ethereum, you get $600, credit if you leave it there for I believe 90 days. If I've already got Ethereum in the account, do I got to add additional on top of that, or can I withdraw and pull back, or does it have to come from a unique different account? How do I get that?
You've got to add to it. It's those promos are incentivized new transfers. So by withdrawing and then re-transferring, it cancels it out. So it's like we want to encourage new transfers, but we can't just pay a promo on top of the rewards that we already have. So all those rewards are predicated on bringing new assets to the platform, not trying to recycle your current existing assets.
Cool. And also, I went to the Celsius meeting in Tampa with Nuke, and that was just an absolute knockout event. And I was there with my son, and he was trying to land a job with Celsius. He's with Fisher Investments and is miserable in traditional finance and wants to move. I mean, he is a Celsian, but wants to be a full-time Celsian, on the payroll. Any advice to get him there? I mean, he's tried every million things. I know, I've heard being an ambassador is a good way to get there, but give me what to do.
I want to tell you something hilarious. Before I got with Celsius, I applied for a job at Fisher Investments in Washington State, and they rejected me, which is just hilarious because that was like one of probably the best rejections ever. So it's funny to hear someone on the other side of the table. But
my son,
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest thing is consistency is number one. Understanding the products number two. Standing out in one way. I mean, is he like an account manager at Fisher right now?
Yeah, he's just a CSA, customer service account, so kind of a low level, lower level position, but just miserable in it. And he'd like to be on the list. You guys, we know that's probably where he's economics degree by background.
Yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't. Are you saying he has an economics degree?
Yes, that's his background. So I know when we talk to the guys, you talk to Nuke, he wants just coders. Well, he's not a coder, but they still got to.
Right. And what positions has he applied for on the website so far?
Lending is the predominant one. I think he tried with the corporate side. Those are the main. He's gone. Tried to get a hold of Tal. But tough getting through. So
my last question is why isn't he on this call right now?
He was, but I was trying to egg him back on. He said, "No, Dad, I got something I got to do." I'm like, "Okay, home, whatever."
Oh,
I know, Lane.
That's not the way, dude. That's not the way.
I know. I told him, but I don't know. I was like, "Come on, man, just get on there." So I know. I'm not building him up. He's but he's solid. He likes to yield farm and play all the sites, so he knows all the different sites. Okay, coin, all that. He's always telling me, "Dad, put on this, take this, do that." So he knows how to play the game. So he's ready.
I would say consistency, and if he really wants it, then he should be trying every avenue he can get in until he finds an open door. There's plenty of them around, and he's got to keep pushing it. And joining calls like this or sticking out like that would have been a really great opportunity, because I could have taken his resume right now and then sent it over to Tal and said, "Hey, this was a fantastic candidate I got to talk to online." And he could have got an interview next week, but
he was there and he just came off. So he actually was right, but he didn't.
Timing is everything.
Yeah, I got you. I hear you. Well, sorry. That's Zach. Anyway, hey, one other thing. I did a transfer from KuCoin in the other day because I had some extra Bitcoin on that site that I didn't use up for purchases, and it was really painful because I put it in around 12 o'clock midnight, and then I figured I'm not going to wait for a transfer to go through, and I put it in as a straight Bitcoin transfer, not through SegWit, because it gave me a choice of SegWit or that, which I'm not used to doing. But anyway, I chose Bitcoin, the straight transfer, because I figured just go safe, don't go fancy or anything. And then I woke up the next morning, and to my surprise, the coins weren't there. I was like, "Oh crap, lost money." I did contact you guys when the minute you guys opened. Customer service was great. They got on it, and within an hour, the money was there. I don't know if customer service got it through, or just it was a slow trade, and they did it, or somebody found it in a different wallet. But I'll tell you, that was a nerve-wracking experience. It's about it's not an insignificant amount of money, and it's all happened to everybody. I'm sure it's not a unique story, but I'm glad you guys took good care of it. That's the customer service is number one. But the other thing is, it should be clear, because you have a little toggle button when you're going to do a SegWit or non-SegWit exchange, and it's really confusing if you're picking the right one. It should confirm. You should hit the toggle button, just not just light up or not light up. If SegWit not, it should actually say SegWit transaction or not SegWit transaction.
Yeah, I think SegWit's been adopted by the vast majority of people now, so I think it's kind of become the standard, and it's backwards compatible. So in an instance like yours, even if you sent it non-SegWit, you could still recover those coins. But from my understanding, we support SegWit transactions, and you can send it via SegWit. I haven't sent a non-SegWit in quite some time.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell my son about your Fisher story, because he's miserable there, and you're not miserable in Celsius. So that's what I expect.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come to get on to talk to Zach, and he can talk Fisher, and he can say, it was a good thing that you didn't get in.
It's kind of like I look back at some of the girls I was trying to date from 10 years ago, and they rejected you, and then you look back, you're like, oh, thank you for doing me that favor.
You totally bailed me out. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach. I really appreciate your time. Thank you all. And then becoming an ambassador. Well, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, for that, go to the website. You can go to the Celsius.network website and have him look at the community tab, and then you'll see a spot there for ambassador. You click on that, and then it will tell a little bit more about the ambassador program, and there will actually be a online application just a FYI for him, have him complete all of the questions to be considered, because some people skip questions and those people are not considered. Just a FYI, because it's only like 11 questions. So have him complete all of the questions. And then after that, someone will reach out to him, have an interview, and go from there.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Don't eat up more of your time, but you guys have an awesome platform and an even better community, and I'm so glad to be part of it.
Yep. Thanks for coming in and joining us up here on stage, Lou. Dalmo, you're up next.
Yes. Hey, I just shoved food in my mouth, but quick question for you guys. For the on and off ramps. So coming up in May, I got a lot of student loans that is in USDC within Celsius platform. The interest right now, there is no interest on those loans, but in May, I think it's going to start opening back up, and it's going to be around like 5%. And my goal is to kind of farm the difference between the USDC yield on Celsius and just basically pay the minimum amounts on my student loans, and then use that 3% and put it into Bitcoin or do whatever with it. But I didn't know if there was any news on direct deposits or withdrawals yet.
Direct deposits and Fiat Gateway overall, we're still making progress. I think in the next 30 to 45 days, we'll be able to start a small release to a handful of areas in the US, but it's still an uphill battle, and they're doing their best to bring this to the community.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much. And I'm guessing probably at this point, there's not necessarily, is there going to be a set amount that you can direct withdraw or deposit? Or those are probably not details yet hashed out?
Again, we just don't have those details. Once we start launching it, we'll have a lot more information available.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up, Dalmo. Plan C, you hanging out, or you got any questions, comments, feedback for us?
Yeah, hey guys, I just first of all, just wondering what you guys are looking forward to, like the three of you, just I guess maybe just till the end of this quarter, the next month or two. What kind of excites you guys the most right now?
Really getting us on the Quickswap and generating yield directly with Cell Token is the holy grail. I mean, you and I have talked about this so much in the past, and it really is a huge opportunity that can change the fundamentals of Cell Token in an extremely positive way. So I just came to understand this yesterday at one of our Cell Token meetings on how clear the goal is here and how easy it can be achieved. And I'm putting all of my effort into making that happen.
Yeah, I would say too that the things that we're doing with Cell Team 6, that's very, very exciting to me. And just seeing that go into fruition is what I'm looking forward to in the short term.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, the thing I'm most interested in at the moment is getting us the rest of the way with the 8 million in liquidity, because that is going to unlock a huge store. Because once we're able to deploy those stable coins, God knows what that'll lead us to next, right? It's just going to have a cascading effect. So we need to get there.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. And it's nice to hear like the things you guys are most excited about are all related to the token. And looking forward to so many things over the coming months, and then of course the rest of this year. But yeah, thanks for all the info, guys.
Yep, always a pleasure to have you up here on stage, Plan.
Yeah, and Plan C, congratulations on the growth of your channel. You've really done fantastic. You're providing really interesting data and technical analysis, and I think that's super cool. And it's great to see you grow and expand on Twitter.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm hoping to integrate somehow to promote Celsius without losing people, because a lot of people that follow certain channels, like they get used to the certain types of information you put out, and they just have to figure out the best way to kind of promote Celsius without looking like I'm shilling it. So, I'll figure out a way though, for sure.
There's always a way. Thanks again for coming up, Lan. Feel free to hang out. Runson Plants, what's going on?
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Cool. It's calling in from the Tar Heel State here in North Carolina, and I had a couple of questions for you. The first is, right now in NC, we don't yet have swaps, although hopefully that'll change at some point in the future when the licenses get acquired. But I'm curious, will the Fiat on-ramps have similar challenges, meaning will those be kind of linked together, so swaps and Fiat go hand in hand, or is that a whole separate ball of wax in terms of getting that functionality coming online when that's available?
Yeah, it's going to be a separate ball of wax, like you said.
Okay.
Nothing is straightforward when it comes to the regulatory requirements for these different types of products. Different licenses are required in different states, in different countries. So, yeah, it's going to be a similar type of situation of swaps where we have an initial group that can be rolled out, and then trying to expand that as quickly as we can. But a lot of it's related to regulatory clarity across the whole U.S., and hopefully we can get some of that, one of these days.
Okay, so you're saying there's a chance. That's great.
To quote Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance.
That's right. And then the other question I had, I was really excited to see Solana coming online here over the last week or so. When I was in the app today, I was trying to just do a ACH purchase of Solana, and it was interesting. I was able to, I could buy Bitcoin or ETH or several other assets straight from the ACH purchase option, and Solana appeared, but when I tried to purchase it with my bank account, it said it wasn't supported. So I was just curious, like, is there a different way that I could buy Solana through the app today? Maybe I have to go the credit card route. I didn't try that, but was curious why it would be available in the drop down, but ultimately not available when I tried to purchase.
Maybe it was offline.
Oh,
maybe. Ouch.
I didn't check that.
Shots fired. Just to speak overall on the current Fiat gateways, they can work for smaller purchases, but overall, it's a very difficult system to use, and I'd recommend if you're looking to purchase large amounts or even dollar cost average that I would do it on a separate exchange and then just send it to Celsius for the time being.
Got it.
And until we get our swaps system works beautifully. So like if you want to just get USDC and send it in, that would probably be the best option, because the swaps works great, but the Fiat gateway, until we get our own native gateway, it's just really tough to use sometimes.
Okay. No, that's good advice. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work.
Also, Plan C, I just wanted to comment on what you said. You said that you wanted to figure out a way to not seem like a shill. If you want to hear some of the strategies that some of our affiliates are doing with that, reach out to me. We can talk about it. That's one thing I help them with, because that's a big concern. So if you're interested, just get in touch with me and I can give you some ideas.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Scott. Yeah, I'll definitely connect with you. I'd love to hear all your ideas with that for sure. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming in, Runson. Hope you join us again up here on stage. Emriddle, welcome up.
Hi, guys. I had a couple of things. One is in regard to, the rewards. We had a discussion earlier tonight. So what I have noticed is, although, there is a delay in the email coming out, but the amount that comes in the email is different than what is posted to the actual account. So if Zach is saying that, the calculation is done at the same time, I think there is a bug between what comes out in the alert in the app or the email versus what gets posted to the account.
There may be with like the price fluctuations. So like Friday at 12, I think Universal Time, UTC, there's actually a Twitter account that marks it. That's when the calculations start and stop every week, precisely at that same time. And then there's a few days over the weekend, and then everyone receives their coins on Monday or Tuesday morning, right, whenever. So there may be some fluctuations in there. I'm not sure if when we get the email that's based off the Friday price or the price at the moment. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really materially matter because you're getting the same amount of coins regardless. We're not paying you dollars, we're paying you coins. And that amount is set on that Friday at 12 US Universal Standard Time.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was just trying to highlight that there is a bug. I'm from IT. I build systems delivering emails. I do similar things. So definitely an issue with whatever you're looking up to send the email. Anyways, second point I had is regarding there was a mention about Voyager and the partnership we have and you know, providing yield to them. So I found something strange that they are offering better yields on stable coins as compared to Celsius. So I was wondering, how is that possible?
I think it's because you're assuming that all of these other companies are actually earning the money that they're paying. And when you make that assumption, it can lead you to some questionable results like that. But you know, many companies operate on a deficit, and that's something that you should really look into to see if whoever you're working with is actually earning all the yield or how they're earning it, right? If they're earning it from fees and taking it from your left pocket just to give it back to you in your right pocket, you know, is that really yield? And I would really look into that. Celsius operates in a very holistic way where we're truly acting in the best interest of our users and truly trying to you know, help their position, where other companies are just trying to get as many customers and make as much money as they can. And often that leads to hidden fees or withdrawal fees or things that they make money on one side and then pretend to give some of it back to you in the form of yield when they're just generating that yield from you indirectly anyway. So there's a lot that's beyond the surface, and especially when you have people that are just chasing rates. They say, oh, you know, so and so is paying 1% more than you, I'm going to hold my coins there instead. You know, there's a lot more that goes into a platform that's holding your money than who's paying the highest yield. So all of those factors go into what you should consider when trusting somebody with your money, because that is a huge amount of trust that you have to do.
Yeah. So I take that point. I was just curious because I would have assumed Celsius would be vetting out Voyager as a partner before tying up with them to provide the yield. So I was just curious, like, you know, if they are using the Celsius platform to generate the yield, how could they actually provide more than that?
Well,
That was just
that's what I'm saying is that they are using Celsius to generate yield, but they could be paying out more yield than is being generated, is what I'm trying to tell you.
okay.
You know,
Got
and they
you.
could be capturing that money from somewhere else, or it could be being subsidized by investors, or you know, just because a platform is promising 12% doesn't mean they're earning 12%, right? They could be operating at a loss, and we've seen other companies have to lower their rates quite drastically in order to compensate for that loss. You know, you can't operate at a loss forever.
All right. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Also, one thing that will help everyone, the marketing team has put together a video that's going to be coming out probably in 30 days or 45 days, depending on legal and compliance. But the video is on how we calculate our weekly rewards. And it's a very good informational video. It's only a couple of minutes long, but it does an excellent job explaining that. So just watch for that. That'll be out in 30 to 45 days.
Thank you for that, Scott. And Emradol, welcome up to the stage, and thank you for joining us. Next up is Crypto Warrior.
Thanks for the opportunity, fellas. Quick question. Should we be concerned at all of what happened with Blockfi?
No need to be concerned. When Alex joins us, he can talk about that directly, but there's no reason to be concerned.
All right. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep. Thanks for coming in. And looks like Alex just popped in the room. So maybe in a few minutes we'll hear something on that topic. In the meantime, next up is Craig.
Hey guys, just a question. For the assets that are low yielding in the app, that yield like 1% or half of 1%, if you just take a loan against that and put it into US stablecoin or USDC, that'll just greatly increase your yield. Is that gaming the system or is that beneficial to Celsius? What's your thoughts on that?
No, you don't come out on top because when you take a 1% loan, you're locking up 4 times the collateral. So let's take Bitcoin for example. Let's say you're at the marginal rate of Bitcoin, and you're receiving 3% on your Bitcoin. So the way that I kind of do the math in my head is you're paying 12%, and then on the stable coins you're receiving 8.5%.
Well, just use the coin that yields 0.5%. So you take a $100,000 loan on and lock up 4,000. So you're losing 2,000 in interest on the lockup.
Yeah.
And then the 1%, that's 3,000.
Yeah.
I guess just put it into stable coin and get 8%.
Yeah, if the yield was low enough, it could make sense. And as far as I know, we don't have any rules against that. So that could be an option for you.
All right, and that's not gaming the system, or I wouldn't get in trouble or anything like that, right?
No, if you take a loan against an asset and you just hold the stable coins in your account, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for coming up, Craig. Next up, we got Tecmo.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
I heard you guys mention my name earlier. I don't know what that was about. I was trying to feed my kid noodles, and he was just not having it. But I originally hopped on just to talk to Lou real quick, but I don't know if he's still in the room. But I was just gonna say, by far the best way I've seen people, get attention and get interviews, and personally how I've gotten interviews is just by being a great Celsian, and I became an ambassador. I've given a lot of hours to the company already, fully, willingly, and I'm not looking for anything in exchange, but by becoming an ambassador, by showing your passion for Celsius, that can only help you. So that's what I would pass along to his son. And I know he didn't intend it this way, but it is a bad look when you say something like, well, I got something else to do. Like, you need to be like going all out, balls to the wall, like attending these AMAs and showing your dedication. So that would just be my recommendation. And then I did come up with a quick question. Do you know, Zach, if the goal with CelsiusX or whatever will eventually be to be able to send out of Celsius on Matic, say Matic token, so I can swap it for Cell and send it back pretty easily?
Yeah, so eventually with CelsiusX, we will be supporting on-chain transfers with Matic and many other blockchains. So yeah, that's definitely an eventual feature that will come.
Okay. Yeah, because since you mentioned the tiered things, I would like to get to at least the 1,000 Cell token area just to kind of be at least somewhere on the path to eventually getting platinum. So that's my new goal. And you guys haven't even rolled that out, and already that's my target. Let's pretend that never comes to fruition. Oh no, I got more Cell. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, I'm really trying to push this through because we've gotten such great results with the 25,000 cap already for platinum. So it's great to hear that it hasn't even been implemented yet, and you're looking to get that silver tier level by holding 1,000 Cell. So as Otis would so eloquently put, 100,000 Celsians holding 1,000 Cell token is 100 million Cell, and that's a lot of tokens.
I've talked to Otis before and indirectly, but we were kind of on the same page of I'm that person who's a kind of a Bitcoin maxi, even though I play in some other areas. That, you know, being an unaccredited poor American, you know, there wasn't a lot of utility, you know, incentive for me. And you know, you show somebody the incentive, and I'll show you how their actions follow, right? And so now you give me a goal of 1,000 that I'm able to not only get some sort of utility out of, but really to have to say like, look, this is me supporting the community, and I'm in. So thank you guys.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Thanks for coming up and helping out with Lou's situation and giving us that good feedback, Tegmo.
Yeah, thanks for that, Techmo. And I'll just say one more thing really quick to Lou. Lou, for your son, the ambassador program could be an excellent option for him, but also have him understand as well that it can help him or it can hurt him if he's coming in with not the right intentions, and if he doesn't put his best foot forward. When the department heads come to me and ask me what I think, I'm always honest with them. So if I see him trying, working hard, that's exactly what I'll say. But if I don't know who he is and he doesn't show up and always has better things to do, then I'll just say I don't really recall who that is if I don't recall who that is. So it can definitely help because we love to see Celsians trying hard and trying to contribute and help us reach our mission of 100 million people. But it can also go the other way if someone is missing in action. So I just want you to know that side of it too.
Thanks again, Techmo. All right, guys, share the room out. Let everyone know that we're live. And if you want to join us up on stage, just tap on the mic in the bottom left. Alex, what's going on?
Hi, guys. So I'm still outdoors. Just had dinner with the whole team here. We were in New Jersey the whole day in our new Hoboken office. So I'm just heading home right now.
Copy. And I'd say the biggest question tonight that we're waiting for you to come on is if you could say some words about the Blockfi fine and, you know, us having a similar business model. Is this going to affect Celsius, or do we have this kind of action coming down the road? What would you be able to speak on that?
Yeah, so I'll do it in a minute. I'm just getting in. Just maybe take another question and then we'll go.
Okay, no worries.
All right. Well, next up is Abram.
Yeah, hey, thanks everybody. I just wanted to quickly say someone was in the room earlier and they were mentioning how to get the word out about Celsius without really sounding like a shill too much. I think one really cool avenue, if it hasn't been explored already, is NFTs. I think is definitely one way to go. But given with I'm just thinking out loud here, given with Celsius's, I guess, target audience, the 100 million per se kind of thing, I think it's also like a dangerous route as well. But so I don't know if I'm thinking for the crowd who's looking for that. I think NFTs is definitely one avenue to do that without really sounding like a shill.
Abram, can you just elaborate on that real quick?
So with Celsius, I'm thinking the whole getting 100 million people into crypto. You're going to have a lot of new people to the space. So you're going to be introducing NFTs not only to people who might not know about them previously as well as crypto, but you're also going to get that crowd who kind of is looking for that also, who's already in crypto. I think it's a untouched space that maybe Celsius will look into, and maybe the ambassadors who are just really passionate about it should look into. That's kind of my take on it, and that's where I'm going right now. Hey, thanks for letting me speak.
Yeah, we are looking into it, and that is the direction that we are headed in, and hopefully we'll be able to give you more information even by the end of this week. Alex, did you want to touch on that or no?
Yeah, we said we're gonna have an announcement in February, so February's happening. So just hang in there. We'll have We'll have some news for you soon.
I just think it's really cool that you're seeing some community members come forward also just make projects of their own. And that's just signs. If you're already in the NFT space, you might kind of already know what I mean, but that's just signs of a really incredible project that's just you've already got everything you need. Just throwing it out there. You can think what you want to think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in this downturn, it was definitely, I would say, surprising to see how well the NFT assets held. Like they basically held better than even Bitcoin, right? Meaning they went down less than Bitcoin. So everybody was expecting. Yep.
That was just incredible. That was the hedge of. You can speak more about that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm saying that it was definitely surprising. Meaning, like because we were contemplating maybe lending against NFTs or doing all kind of other things, and one of our biggest concerns was, okay, what happens if there's like a flash crash? Because we haven't really gone through a flash crash with NFTs at the highs, right? So this time, seeing that they were resilient definitely gave us more conviction that we should lend or participate and so on. So again, you'll see us launch some stuff soon, and we'll be obviously continue to develop more and more things in the NFT space. So, all right,
Thanks for coming up on stage, Abram. Good topic.
Yeah, we can talk about.
You ready, Alex?
Yeah, Zach had raised the issue about Blockfi, so let's talk about that. So, it's good news for everybody in crypto that basically we've been able to, meaning the crypto community, has been able to reach some kind of an understanding with the SEC. This is the first time that a company in our space, right, like what the stuff that Celsius does every day, loans and yield and all that stuff, has been through the ringer, right? And even though they paid a big fine, right, they had to pay $50 million to the SEC and $50 million, and but despite the fine, they basically got a framework or a clear guidance as to what they can and cannot do, right? So, again, obviously, I don't think anyone lost money using BlockFi's yield account or using BlockFi's loan accounts. So I was surprised to see that the SEC decided to put such heavy fines. That's the largest fine ever in the history of crypto, right? So you would think that something really bad would happen. I mean, when you look at all the bad things that other people do, you would expect those to have the biggest fines, not an instant. No retail person has lost any money. So we just needed to really think about why the fines are so high, considering there were no damages and no loss, at least none that I know of, right? Maybe there's some stuff we don't know because it's not like everything was shared with us. We just know what the ruling was or what the SEC's opinion was. So, but overall, again, it gives us clarity. It tells us what direction to go in, and kind of I feel like BlockFi took a bullet for the industry, right? So we're all in it together. Let's put it that way.
Thank you for those comments on that, Alex. We all gonna make it, right?
Yeah, definitely. You saw my shirt. I was wearing that. Was it 2 weeks ago, right?
Yep. So if you guys have any questions on that or any further comments, feel free. Alex has now touched on that. Hopefully we can move on from the subject, but the door's open. So, Kibbs, you're up next. Kibbs, there you go.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, no, I was actually just going to be asking the similar kinds of questions, which just got answered. So I was actually just looking for the button to step down. But no, great to be part of this, and great to hear the news about the Blockfi not kind of damaging the users. And I think that the path forward with Celsius certainly looks good and great. And actually, Alex, did you really ever have a doubt in your mind that, hey, we're going to maybe get affected by this? Because it always has appeared to me that Celsius as an organization with your leadership, you've always been taking a very cautious, prudent approach to regulation and uncertainty. So it's never really crossed my mind that Celsius could be at risk here. But I don't know. Do you have some thoughts to share on that in light of what's happened now with BlockFi?
Well, look, I definitely feel that people, for example, that offer you 20x leverage or 50x leverage offshore, and you never know if you got the right execution or the bad execution or whatever, that those are definitely much worse actors than, for example, Celsius or BlockFi, who just pay you yield on your money, right? We're not trying to get you to trade. We're not trying to get you to take huge leverage. We're not doing any of these things, right? So paying people interest should be, or yield, should be something that regulators should be cheering for, not complaining about, right? So and they should be really going more after the bad actors who do all kind of shady stuff and offshore, and basically make people take huge risks or blow up or lose all their money, right? So I feel that we always followed the rules better than probably anybody else. I think our disclosures are probably better than others. We tell you the good and the bad, right? I mean, we normally always talk about how you need to diversify or how you need to rebalance, right? We're not trying to get you to buy even more Bitcoin. Again, we don't sell it, right? It's not us trying to load up on your assets. So all those things just give us very different incentives compared to other people, right? So I think a lot of these other companies chose to make all their money by getting you to take more risk and do things that are not necessarily good for you. And many of them are now paying the price, both in the United States and overseas, because regulators are now cracking down on all of these practices, right? So again, it's better for all of us if we have a clean industry, if we have an industry that acts in the best interest of the customer.
Alex, you've cut out.
He might have hit a dead spot.
Seems like that. And
it's you know what, with everything that Alex has said, I mean, it's, to me, it's almost a no-brainer to.
You guys hear me or no?
Oh yeah, we hear you again.
How about now?
I hear you again.
We can hear you. Alex, are you there?
Yeah, he's in the car, I guess. Dead spot. Anyways, I'll step down. But to me, it's almost a no-brainer to sort of see that he's now a guest speaker at that MIT blockchain course that Gary Gensler himself has taught at one point. So, this, to me, this whole situation has increased my confidence even further with Celsius Network, and I think the road ahead is looking great. So glad to be part of the community, and thanks for your time, guys.
Yep, it's a great question, and I hope that you got the answers you were looking for before Alex began to cut out. If he comes back and he wants to finish his thought, we can go from there. But in the meantime, while he's looking for a good spot to get service back, I'll pivot over to Doc. Thanks for coming up, Gibbs.
Hey, thanks for having me on. My question is for Alex, so I'm not sure. Can I wait till he gets back?
Sure, no problem. No problem. Just sit tight. FC, do you have a question that possibly we can answer in the meantime?
If you don't mind, I also had a question for Alex. Is it all right if I wait too?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll just go through the crowd.
Thanks, boss.
Yep. Sergio?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate talking with the community. It's nice to connect with fellow Celsians. I got two questions. The first one is, I'm very happy to be a user of Celsius. I've been using it since November, but I want to be a contributor. I've been applying since November, sending out multiple resumes, emailing people, connecting with recruiters on LinkedIn. I haven't heard back anything yet. I'm not getting discouraged. I'm continuing to apply because I really do want to be a contributor of the Celsius team. And I want to know what else can I do to help myself get noticed and kind of proceed with becoming a member of the team.
Yeah, I would say it's really a game of persistence and participation, and then also having the skills that we need. So on the website, we have the career page, and there's over 100 listings of different types of positions all over the world. Don't worry so much about the location, but try to find a position that best suits your skills, or a few positions that would best suit your skills, and then continue to pursue that, continue to participate in community events, things online, in-person events, and it can take some time, but that's how you get in the door at the company.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate that. I'm actually based out of Tampa, so I have stopped by the office over in the downtown area. It's really nice, and I work in traditional finance. I'm just ready to make that transition. Quite frankly, I don't really care what role I get. I just want to be a part of the team. So is there, I don't know, anyone that I can maybe shoot my resume to kind of
get
to be noticed a little?
It's really and I did the same thing. I was trying to get Celsius. I said, hey, I just want to be a part of this. I don't care how. It's really not an effective strategy to get a position, because you're just saying, oh, here, I'll be helpful. Just put me somewhere. And that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for people that can be helpful in very certain areas. So like I said, go to the careers page and find a few positions that look for you, or that work well for you and match your skills. If you're in the financial services industry now, there's plenty of them. And then continue to follow up on that. Continue to visit the office periodically, make yourself known, join these conversations, join stuff online, and then eventually you'll get picked up. It may take months, but you will get picked up.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I appreciate that. That is very encouraging. And then I got one more question too. Like I said, I'm based out of Florida. Is the swap feature something that's going to be coming to Florida? Because I'm trying to acquire as much Cell token as possible. However, getting it on Uniswap and other DeFi swaps is just, not very practical, because you kind of get nailed with fees. So is that something that we can expect to see in Florida? And if not so, what states is that available in?
We can't say exactly what states, but Florida has some special laws around it. It's been tough to bring things like swap or even OTC desk. So, these are all licenses that we have to pursue and maintain, which takes a lot of time and energy, but hopefully eventually we can get there.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate all that.
Sergio, always watch the Friday AMA, and as soon as they post new listings, apply right away.
Okay,
and
excellent.
Never give up. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
Tenacious. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. All right. Norm, did you have any questions, comments?
Hi, good evening. Yes, I had a couple of comments and one question. I'm glad to see the Cell token is starting to move up, but it looks like there's some effects of all the efforts you guys have been really putting into the utilities and so forth. So I was glad to see that, or glad to see it starting. Let me put it that way. And I had one quick question. The Matic token on Celsius in your wallet is in the ERC20 chain, if you will. That's correct. Am I right about that?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so my question is, if I sent Matic to Celsius on the Polygon chain to the address on the ERC20 at Celsius, what's going to happen to that Matic?
Right now, I think it actually will go through because of the limited integrations that we've had, but it's still in beta phase, so not a standard product. But we're looking to bring that support. So I think Matic, Cell Token, and USDC will show up even if you send them on Polygon. But that's in beta, do a test. No guarantees that that's going to work. But eventually that will be a standard part of the product.
Well, that's great news, but I have a little concern when you say do a test. Yeah, if
Well,
it's
then
beta, the test might
if,
work.
if you're concerned about it, then just do it on ERC20.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But sometimes if if it's beta and the small one works, doesn't mean the big one's going to work. But thank you for the questions. It sounds like good progress. Take care.
Thanks for coming up, Norm. Alex, are you good? You got a solid signal?
Yep, all good.
All right, cool. Gonna roll into the next question. Doc, now that he's back, go for it.
All right, thanks for having me on. So Alex, I have a question about CelsiusX, and I know previously when you had talked about it, you had mentioned how all transactions would be going through Cell Token in some way, but I was kind of disappointed when I saw on Polygon that all of the wrapped assets, none of them are paired with Cell. None of the pools that were opened up are in the smart contracts. So I just wanted to, if you could explain, one, why they weren't paired with Cell, because that would have been a way to pass through Cell in every transaction. And since they're not, how exactly are they supposed to all transactions passing through Cell if they're not paired in the liquidity pools?
Yeah, so the reason they're not paired with Cell is because those platforms don't block US users. So if we want to stay compliant and kind of keep the Cell token, again, it may be a security. We don't want to risk it. So we decided to basically not enable access for US users. But if we have a platform that does block US IP addresses, then we can definitely offer all those pairs. That's what we're planning to do. So there are platforms that do that, and when they launch on Polygon, we'll be offering those pairs. But that doesn't block others from offering these pairs, right? So we're looking at ways to basically incentivize people to create these pairs, right? Because anyone can basically create any pair, and through that incentive system, enable this. Because again, the restriction is only on us, not on third parties.
So then what you're saying is that the deep liquidity that you guys were bringing with the CelsiusX, like 100 million in liquidity, you're not going to ever be able to provide that liquidity in a way that U.S. investors could take advantage of it to actually acquire or buy, sell, or anything like that because of these regulations.
No, the issue is that we Celsius can't put these pairs, but others can. So there's no restriction for any third party from creating a sell ETH or sell Bitcoin or anything like that.
Right, but you wouldn't be actually getting the Celsius themselves would not be, because that was the benefit, right? Celsius is bringing these deep liquidity pools to lower slippage and that, but you're saying that Celsius will not be able to create the pools or add liquidity to those pools because of the regulations.
Again, if the platform enables us to block IP addresses, then we will be offering it to non-US. To offer it to US, And there are pairs right now on Polygon, right? So you have on Quickswap you have a sell ETH pair right now, right?
But I
That you
thought
can go.
since it was when it was DeFi, you had mentioned before that because it was DeFi, there wasn't any problems with it. But now that you guys have looked at it further, you're thinking that even though it is DeFi, there's still going to be
No,
problems.
again, there is no problem with it for others.
Right. I'm in the U.S., so I'm thinking the U.S. Like I'm trying to
Yeah,
find.
so you can go right now as a US user on Polygon, and there's on Quickswap there's a pair sell ETH right now. You can use
Right.
it. No
But
one's
it's not
holding you back. You don't need to do anything special,
sure.
right?
But
You don't have to wait for Celsius to add liquidity into that pool. It already has like $1 million or more in liquidity, which makes you just have to look at the quote that you're getting there, and you can look at the quote you're getting on some other exchange or MM or on Uniswap or whatever, and decide where you want to transact, right? So
okay.
it's not there's no restrictions on it right now.
Okay. The other question I had is that with the Blockfi stuff that had happened, is there concern that now that the SEC has actually ruled or they've come to their agreement that same sort of action could be now taken towards Celsius, or is there a concern there that this will not just end with BlockFi, which is creating a framework of creating these interest-bearing securities, but actually that they will continue marching down the path of all the companies that they've been talking to, which I know Celsius was one of them as well.
Well, I don't think there's a doubt that anyone who wants to offer yield is going to have to offer it in the way that the SEC told BlockFi to proceed, right? So the question is, how many companies that offer yield today? There's over 100 of them. Some of them are DeFi, some of them are CeFi, some of them don't know what they are. How many of those are going to be able to cross this bridge with what the SEC just told everybody they have to do? You understand? So I don't expect more than 3 or 4 firms to be able to be compliant based on all the things the SEC said you have to do if you want to offer yield on crypto. So in a way, it's again, it might be bad for the community, for the whatever, but it's good for the 4 companies that are gonna survive this, right?
Sure. There was just a concern with the commissioner's response. I forget where she's out of. I think it's maybe even Texas, but that had talked about the hurdles to actually get done what the SEC was saying, and was probably something that was going to be very difficult to accomplish. So, do you have concerns about, even though the SEC has built a framework, is the framework even feasible to actually get accomplished? Something that can actually be done, because they were talking about having to make exceptions to rules because it was crypto and things like that, and so there was concern there.
There's no question that some of the things they're asking you to do are currently not possible. Okay, so so again, many times the SEC is happy with best efforts. Again, money laundering is something that everybody operates in best efforts mode, meaning you have to do everything you can to prevent these things. There's best practices, and you're supposed to report if something happens. And it might be the same kind of regime here, where basically they set the expectations higher than anyone can achieve, and then everybody operates based on best efforts.
Kind of like getting a bit license in New York.
Yeah, well, again, if you have an agreement with the SEC, that probably trumps all the local state requirements, and that's part of why you see BlockFi kind of settle all the state issues at the same time, because you have a federal, the federal settlement kind of again trumps all the state issues.
So I'm assuming at this point, then Celsius is now looking at trying to move forward with creating an interest-bearing, security token. I guess it's a token that is kind of like that was called out in what I could read from BlockFi. Is that sort of the path that Celsius is now looking to do as well?
I don't know anything about a token. If you read that's news to me that you're
I don't know if
creating
it's a
some
token.
kind of. I don't think it's
They
a
just
token.
Okay, but that path, that's interest-bearing security, is what Celsius is now moving forward with, trying to go through that process, same as BlockFi is doing. I would assume that.
Well, I think BlockFi has, 60 days to do all kind of stuff, and again, all eyes are on them to see how they're going to. What does it mean, right? Because it's not just. I think there's like a. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so it's not like I'm the world expert that's reading SEC commentary and understanding it, right? I'm just telling you that there's a lot of more work that the BlockFi has to do to deliver on what they agreed with the SEC. So everybody's waiting to see what they're gonna do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for coming up and dropping the questions, Doc. FC, you're up next.
What's going on, guys? Thank you. Alex, are you expecting to pay a fee or a fine the same like BlockFi did? Like Celsius?
Well, I have no clue if what's going to happen there, right? So we're again, the SEC issued a lot of different requests for information and action letters and all kind of other stuff to many different people, and no one knows who is going to get a fine and who's not, and what is it going to be or anything like that. But again, we're ready, like we always said, to continue providing fully compliant services. And I've said that many times before. If somebody tells us, "Hey, don't do this and do more of that," we will follow the rulings. I mean, that's what I think a lot of the stuff that was done with BlockFi is in the best interest of the consumer, right? So I don't see anything there that kind of conflicts with anything that Celsius has been saying for 4.5 years, right? The issue is just why did BlockFi get such a big fine? That's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, and we might get clarity on it later on. It's just there wasn't much provided on what and how.
My 2 cents is they just, like I said a few months ago, in my opinion, I don't know, I may be wrong, or you guys might think I'm crazy. I just think it's a shakedown, because if they start going after all of them, if you've seen the news lately, crypto, Bitcoin, those 2 people in the city that they allegedly were involved with the hack and whatnot, it's just been getting negative press. And now what's happening within Canada, they're freezing people's bank accounts and stuff like this. These are the same people that say they want to protect consumers. Meanwhile, they're putting the foot on your neck. You know what I mean? So what happens if they tell Celsius now, because from how I interpret the article, maybe again I'm wrong, they said something like, "Oh, you can still keep your funds and collect interest, but say if you have like 10 Ethereums, you wanted to send 5 more to collect yield, they're gonna say, oh, you can't keep sending to that Celsius wallet or BlockFi wallet. You can only collect on what you have." How are you going to reach 100 million users in crypto or bring 100 million users to crypto if they're not letting you expand? You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, so I don't think the ruling or the communique was restricting accredited investors or institutional investors or foreign investors, right? So this is only mainly focused on retail US, which obviously represents, again, probably 100 million users, if not more, probably 150 million users. So it's not, there's 8 billion people on the planet. So you can definitely reach 100 million, even if they restrict US retail from earning yield. And Celsius doesn't only offer yield products, right? I mean, you could still do loans, you could still do other things. So this Blockfi ruling was only about the yield account, only about interest, right? The credit card is not affected. The taking loans is not affected, and so on.
Are you concerned at all about this Bitcoin regulation and stuff that's been in the news, like that they're discussing about executive order and whatnot? Because I think I'm also a little bit concerned about like the stable coins. I just think they want their own central bank digital currency, and people are gonna have to pay a tax on every dollar they spend and get, and it's a way of surveillance. That's just my opinion. People might think I'm a conspiracy theorist. I just see that we're headed down a slippery road, and I think people, especially in the crypto community, they have to reach out to these candidates now that are running for election. That I see more and more every day on Twitter, and they're having Twitter spaces that are running, and they're trying to pass bills, but they need more support because I don't think this is all in the best of trying to protect consumers. You know what I mean? I just think it's like the banksters are paying these people because you guys are putting them out of business. That's my 2 cents.
Well, it's going to get harder and harder for politicians to get elected if they go against crypto, right? Because there's more and more crypto holders. So any politician that intentionally tries to cater to this or that group and go against crypto is just their days are numbered, right? So yes, they might still survive this election or whatever, but over a period of time, I think you're going to see more and more crypto-friendly people get elected. So that's really the time is working in our favor. Ours meaning the crypto community, and it's just a question of how are we going to get there, right? How long it's going to take.
Hey, Alex, this is Jim Liu. Thanks a lot for coming to my class at Johns Hopkins and speaking. The students really love your talk. Really appreciate what you're doing for all this, amazing things. One question I have, because you get to see what's happening in the U.S. and also outside. I'm just curious, the stance that the SEC is taking. I mean, if you had to estimate how many sort of companies will not sort of build in the U.S. and just like how many jobs, if the SEC clamps down too hard, are going to remain outside or, maybe go outside given, what they're doing. I'm just, just back of the envelope. What do you think? Thanks.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining. And, I think the statistics, if you look at the statistics, half of all NASDAQ listed companies, I think, are immigrants. And in Silicon Valley, it's something like 80% of CEOs of Silicon Valley companies are immigrants. And that's basically because 10, 20 years ago, these people went to school here and then they graduated and then they did a startup or they joined this or that company and so on. But today, like if you look at your class, probably more than half of the class is going to graduate and then go back to India or China or Vietnam or whatever and do those startups over there, right? Because, we don't issue as many visas, work visas, or we don't make it easy for these people to stay and build their future here. And again, the more barriers we create for entrepreneurship, including in the crypto space, which is obviously the hottest fintech segment, and these people are just gonna move and go somewhere else, right? So I think again, especially in crypto, it's a global workforce, very very competitive. We're trying to hire crypto people, and I can tell you, it's everybody that comes and talks to us already has 3 or 4 offers. So it's very difficult to retain these people, and many of these projects are virtual projects. Like people are working from Bali and from Singapore and from whatever, right? They're all over the world. So they're not necessarily have to stay in the United States and pay taxes over here and so on. So all these things are not good for the United States of America. We invented the internet. We built the best companies in the internet. And the huge part of the US GDP is because the internet was created and developed here versus if it was developed in Japan or China or somewhere else.
Hey, I have one last question, Alex. I appreciate that. Does Celsius have any lobbyists down in DC? Do these crypto companies sort of do what, Google and Amazon and Microsoft do, try to, get some influence or, have people on the Hill more friendly in terms of, what entrepreneurs are trying to do? I'm just curious.
Yeah, everybody has a lobbyist in Washington. It's like.
Do you guys have your dedicated lobbyist?
It's like everybody has a bookie before the Super Bowl. It's the same way. Everybody has a lobbyist in Washington. So, look, the banks spend billions of dollars a year. Again, it's all public information. You can just use Google to see how much banks spent last year in lobbying in Washington. And crypto. If crypto spend, I would be surprised if crypto spend even 5% of what banks spend in Washington.
But
right?
shouldn't the crypto guys be down in DC and trying to sort of make more friends on Capitol Hill?
They're down in DC, but again, let's do the basketball analogy. Okay, so imagine that our basketball team of lobbyists has 3 players, and they're all 6 foot tall, and the banking lobby managed to convince the NBA that they're allowed to have 15 players, and they're all 7 foot tall. That's what's happening. You understand? It's not an even matchup. So they can block you no, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to score, right? You're not going to get across. You're not going to be able to pass 15 different players that are twice your size. So
so you think the lobbying is so entrenched in DC, the bankers have been there so long that the crypto guys can't even sort of nudge inside. There are some Congress people who are pretty friendly or favorable to cryptos, right?
Currently, you get ahead faster in the U.S. government if you're anti-crypto than if you're pro-crypto. You get along faster if you're a mayor, or if you're a governor, you'll get elected faster in any of those posts. But when it comes to Congress, when it comes to other things, right now the winds are blowing against crypto, not for crypto. Meaning, you want to get on the banking committee, you want to get on this or that. That is much more dependent on lobbyists and on all of the monkey business that these people do over there, right? So who gets what appointment because of what? So everybody's trying to show off, everybody's trying to convince others to elect them to this or that post. And currently you get there faster by being tough on crypto. You don't get there faster by saying, oh, look, it's 1996 and we're going to pass this law that's going to protect internet companies from big telcos attacking them and destroying them because they're anti-internet. You understand? So we don't have such a law. No one is even proposing such a law. The opposite. All the laws are being proposing are to put handcuff on crypto to slow it down, or to minimize the impact, or to put it in a box, or to convince the American people that this is not in their best interest, right?
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks for coming up for your question, Jim and FC. Next up is Rip Curls.
Yeah, hi, good night, Scott, Zach, and Alex and the team, fellow Celsians. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I had a chance to review the disclosure from Blockfi regarding the recent SEC action, and there seemed to be in the report, some issue taken up by the SEC with regarding lack of transparency behind the institutional lending, collateralization of the loans to generate sustainable yield. And so maybe, Alex, you can speak to some of the measures that you at Celsius take to ensure that the yield generating loans to institutional partners are indeed adequately collateralized, or in some cases over collateralized. And secondly, just a comment. We started off the conversation speaking about ways to improve user engagement, and the issue of NFTs did come to the table. I had an opportunity to come across a company called VV Digital Collectibles, and they are in the business of creating and distributing limited edition digital NFT collectibles that are licensed by some big companies like Disney, USPS, the recent 007 series. And so my thought was, maybe Celsius as a promotional event could create some limited edition digital NFTs that have utility, sort of like what you're doing now with the promotional um, coupon codes for $100 back on certain deposits. Maybe you can generate an NFT that's limited edition that could have some sort of advantage, whether it's deposit bonus or maybe even like a yield booster in the Celsius tier system. And I think that could go a long way. We saw what the Coinbase QR code did for the Super Bowl in terms of generating user engagement. I think Celsius could have an opportunity there in that space to do something as well with VV. And lastly, as an accredited investor and looking into some of the institutional products that you offer, I'm really excited to see how creative Celsius can be in generating new products for clients that are looking for things like retirement accounts or mortgages. And I know, Alex, that's something that you've been looking into, but maybe you can speak a little bit about what some of your future initiatives might be. Thanks so much for the time, and good night, everyone.
Yeah. So, most of you have taken a loan in the past. So, again, retail loans, the highest LTV we offer is 50%, meaning we have at least twice as many assets when we issue a retail loan to a customer, right? There's no way, at least now that I know of, to get a higher LTV right now from Celsius. So most of our customers choose either the 33 or the 25% loan. That's why our average is much lower than 50% LTV, meaning we have at least anywhere between 3 and 4 times worth of collateral on average from retail loans, right? Then we have, separate from all of that, we have institutional borrowers, and I mentioned many times before that it varies. If they're small, usually we ask for more collateral. If they're large and they have a nice balance sheet, meaning they have a lot of assets, then there's much less risk for us, for Celsius, for lending to those institutions. So we assess each situation, just like I'm sure Blockfi does, and we have a lot of same customers in common, right? Institutions, and each company has to make its own decision as to who they lend to and how much and all that stuff, right? So again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't dig into what BlockFi did right or wrong, or why they had a problem with this regulator or that regulator, right? We have several law firms. They tell us what we have to do, how we have to do it, and we try to pursue those things in the best way possible to stay compliant and act in the best interest of our community, right? So we haven't changed. I don't think we've changed what we do or how we do. So pretty much we're on the same track. We sometimes increase credit limits, and sometimes we decrease credit limits. Many times it has to do with much more with the price of Bitcoin or the movement or the risk levels. right? The basically the volatility. Then it has to do with anything else, right? So we might, if the volatility is high, we might require more collateral or shrink the credit limits. If the volatility is low, we might expand the collateral. Again, on NFTs, I think everybody's searching for a business model, right? You're seeing a lot of things being launched, and sooner than later we will have. Right now, I think there's still a scarcity of projects, so you're still seeing kind of successful launches with prices going up. But my feeling is that there's just too many of these things coming to market, and sooner or later you're going to have saturation. And I don't think these things NFTs will just automatically go up when they're issued. So the problem is going to be figuring out what is of long-term value and what is just a hype, and what is representing true verified vendors and suppliers versus something that somebody told you, oh yeah, I have rights for this or I have rights for that, right? So and that's actually something my wife is working on. If you guys checked usastrong.io, her team has been working on it for over a year now, on not just NFTs and physical items, but also verifying the source, the origin, the um, provenance of any of these items. So if you're buying something that is actually issued and has the rights that ascribe to it. And I think we're going more and more in that direction, rather than everybody just telling you, oh yeah, I represent Adidas or I represent Nike, right? And we're starting to see lawsuits across the board, or cease and desist from brands to many of these people who claim to have rights, and you end up realizing they don't have any rights. So the NFT world is definitely going through a little bit of a shakeout. I wouldn't say it's a big one yet, because most of the stuff that's being issued, if you look at apes or punks or whatever, it's pretty easy to verify if it's from that original digital mint. So if the source is NFT creation, it's pretty easy to figure out if it's real or not, versus if it's some digital copy of something that belongs to a third party, like Nike, for example, right? Or some basketball team or whatever, right? So I think we're still living in the Wild West as far as knowing which service provider actually represents the NBA and what chain do they actually launch their tokens on, and who has the rights for it, and if I buy it, what do I own, and so on. So all that stuff is still being kind of worked on, and we keep seeing both successful launches as well as projects that have a lot of issues to them. So just be careful, right? This is you rush into it and you buy something and you put your life savings into it, you might get burned. It's a little bit early in the process. All right.
Rip Curls, did that conclude your questions up here?
Yeah, and I just lastly regarding maybe in the future if we can see some different products just besides lending on the Celsius platform for institutional and accredited investors. For example, I was just recently looking to purchase a bit of real estate, and my goal is really to untether from the traditional financial system. But Celsius was um, I, I don't think we're there yet in terms of offering competing terms as traditional financing lenders in traditional markets. So I'm just wondering, in the future, could we potentially see some products specifically tailored towards maybe IRAs or specifically towards mortgage lending products for users?
Yeah. So again, we're not trying to compete with the mortgage industry. If you have digital assets, we can issue you a loan the same day or the next day against those assets to give you more liquidity. And if you haven't watched Digital Asset News and other people who posted videos of them kind of combining traditional banking and Celsius to get real estate deals done. Sometimes they use us for the deposit, sometimes they use us for the closing, and then they refinance or whatever. But we're just one more tool in a toolbox. You just need to know when to use it and how to use it, right? So again, there's no origination fee, there's no termination fees, you can just turn it on and turn it off, right? You can take a loan for 2 weeks if you need it, right? And close the loan down and refinance it or whatever. So Zach can talk about IRAs and other things.
Yeah, right now we have a great partnership with Dorado IRA, where they'll create an IRA LLC for you, and then we can onboard that to Celsius as a corporate account, and you can keep that tax advantage status with your retirement funds in Celsius and earn great yields on stable coins or all the other assets that we offer in a retirement vehicle. So if you're interested in doing that, email corporate@celsius.network and we can get you started.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Zach. And Rip Curls, thanks for coming up. Jay Gels, you're up next.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me back up. I just wanted to quickly, well, first of all, I just wanted to say, given everything that's been happening recently with Blockfi, the Fiat on-ramps being delayed, swaps rollout, I still haven't gotten access. I was wondering if we could potentially get the legal team on one of the AMAs soon, just to kind of update us from their perspective in terms of what they're dealing with and what they can specifically say, because obviously they'll be limited. But I think a lot of the community would benefit from being able to have their input. But my specific question was earlier, Doc, I think his name is Corey, he's in one of the Telegram chats, got up and asked about CelsiusX and the Cell token integration there. And I just wanted to get a tiny bit more clarification. If you could speak for a second on how the Cell token is going to specifically be integrated into CelsiusX, because we heard about that in the past and it sounded like there was a little bit of a discrepancy there. So I just wanted to get some clarification.
Yeah, well, we haven't released any information about how Cell token is going to be integrated. So I don't know where there's discrepancy since we didn't provide any information. So, we have a plan. We're going to execute on it. Again, the launch for CelsiusX is on Feb 22nd. And, we will, we have several launch partners. We announced Chainlink, we announced Quickswap, we announced Polygon. These are all great names, and we'll be adding more. So stay tuned, and when we're ready to talk about Cell token, you will see us talk about Cell token.
And one thing people can do now is, again, add liquidity to Quickswap on the Cell ETH pair. And once we get that to 10 million, it opens up a whole new category of things we can do with Cell token on DeFi. We have to ask the community to do this right now, and we're working on it at other angles as well. But that would be a huge step forward in increasing utility on every DeFi platform by adding that liquidity to Quickswap.
Well, it's both. It's not just adding liquidity, right? It's also transacting on those platforms because, like, I don't know, what is the yield right now on those pairs, on like the ETH Cell pair, for example, on Quickswap? Do we know that the yield is?
I don't know off the top of my head, no.
Yes, if you go to, I think it's quickswap.exchange, right? Is that the address? Right? What's the web address for the?
I think it is quickswap.exchange. Yeah.
Right. So if
Watch
you go
out for
there
imitators.
and you search for that pair, you'll see the yield. The yield represents basically the fees paid by people who bought Cell, both from all over the world. And so the more, it's not just about adding liquidity, it's also about more people using that platform versus using FTX, for example, or Liquid, or Uniswap or something else, right? Because if you just add liquidity and there is the same number of people buying or selling, then that yield is divided between 2, 3, 4 times as much liquidity. So you want a growth in the user base using those pairs, and you want growth in the people providing liquidity, and then everybody. I mean, you should be able to earn more yield on that sell ETH pair than even posting it on Celsius if there is enough transactions happening on Quickswap, right? So it's the ratio between the two that determines the yield and so on. So again, it's a community effort, right? People post the liquidity, other people come and transact, and you basically, if you posted the liquidity, you get 0.3%. Again, this has nothing to do with Celsius. We're not underwriting it. We're not offering it. This is provided by the community. You know, inside the Quickswap platform, which is effectively like a fork or derivative of the Uniswap platform.
JJ, did that summarize your questions there?
Yeah, I think that was very clearly stated. I'll be looking forward to all of the updates next week. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Yep, thanks for coming up again. Pete, you're up next.
Good evening. Alex, 195 countries in the world, 7.5 billion people on the planet, and your goal to get to 100 million users. I don't know how you guys are able to take into...
Pete, can you pause real quick? Your audio, you sound very muffled.
Sorry, how's that? Any better?
Much better, much better.
Sorry about that. So just a quick comment. It's a big world, lots of countries, lots of people, regulatory issues in every single country in the world. Just wanted to say a shout out to you guys as you try to navigate that on behalf of the whole community. So many people are so invested in what's in it for them, especially for their specific location. I can imagine in the U.S. alone, 50 different states to navigate. But kudos to you and your community. One other quick comment. Whether it's your team in Israel, your team in Serbia, the people that you have in the U.S. and around the world, such a diverse community, and kudos to Scott for sharing a little bit about his story. It's inspiring, just the diversity of the team and the community. And my last comment is, I'm in Western Canada. Lots of news about Canada these days, about how our federal government is having to clamp down with emergency measures based on the 5,000 truckers in the transportation industry that are having challenges getting across the border. There's a lot more to Canada than just that voice and what you're seeing in the media right now. I noticed one of my local exchanges here in Canada has just started staking rewards, and that's new here in Canada as well. So obviously there's lots of people trying to get their piece of the pie. Those staking rewards from my local exchange that just were announced today, lots of fees associated with it, but it's very easy to on-ramp there. And just wondering, Alex, if you can give us a little update on Fiat on-ramps for the community. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, I'm not I don't know all the details about what and how we're offering in Canada. I don't have any special updates there. We did hire somebody that we're announcing. I think we're announcing next week or something. But somebody is joining our team, who's a famous guy in Canada. So you can look out for that next week. And again, obviously, we want to work with local regulators. We want to work with local companies. So Canada is a very important market for us. And thanks for all the compliments to the team. Definitely, I think everybody's working hard to deliver for the community in all jurisdictions. And again, we operate in most of these countries you mentioned, but also in many countries there are different rules. Like you said, like in the United States, for example, all 50 states have different rules, and that's why we count jurisdictions and countries, not just countries. So you put all those together, and we're talking over 250 countries and jurisdictions that have unique, different rules. And it's definitely complex and requires very unique technology because, again, somebody from from Canada may be traveling in New York State, and you have to take into consideration both the rules in Canada and the rules in New York State, right? And what are you allowed or not allowed to do, and what are they trying to do, and so on, right? So all those things are pretty complex and changing. And every time a regulator says something, you have to go and make adjustments if necessary. So it's definitely not an easy path to navigate, and more and more small companies just find it too difficult to follow or to operate in a profitable way, and they basically exit or they block, for example, the United States or Canada for their services, which obviously does not help the crypto community. So clarity on the regulatory side, clarity on kind of getting some kind of a global framework. Like, for example, the banks have Basel III is the last kind of framework that all the banks agreed to, and they're all operating under one umbrella, basically. We don't have anything like that in crypto, which we probably need to get to.
Pete, did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep up the great work on behalf of the community. Thank you, everyone.
Yep, thanks for coming in. Joey Allmight.
What's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
How's it going? I do have a question, but I just wanted to say that I don't think what's happening with Blockfi is necessarily a bad thing, because it can define like clear rules, and it sounds like they just need to register a product, and then they can offer that product to people, and then it'll be like set in stone, and now people will know, the states will have rules to follow. It's not going to be let's just do stuff and wait until I don't know, somebody sues the IRS and makes a precedent for this or precedent for that or whatever. So which I think they might. I don't know if that's what they're kind of alluding to, but I don't know if you guys heard what Gary Gensler was saying about a spot Bitcoin ETF, and he was just like, oh, we don't have the framework for it. So it's like, well, it doesn't seem, it's not, all these other countries are doing it, we're taking forever. And but yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say it seems like the market's not really too afraid of raising rates as much anymore, because we're anticipating X amount. But if they do go crazy, which I don't think would happen, because I don't think they want to tank the markets, but I don't know anything. If they do plan to raise rates pretty high this year, how does that affect Celsius? Like is there a situation where they raise rates to the point where you guys can't pay out as much yield, you guys can't make as much money from whoever your business partners are, like offering them loans or whatever? Does that kind of trickle back to Celsius, or is Celsius kind of like, you guys don't really have a lot of debt, so you guys are good to go in that regard? I don't remember. I know there was a giant loan or something was announced with Celsius and maybe Tether, I think it was. So like you guys, like would that increase your guys' loan? You guys have to pay that back. Like how does that affect? Is there a trickle down effect basically to the everyday customer if the rates by the end of 2020, let's say the rates are super high to try to get inflation in line, which may not even solve the problem. But yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, so we're not part of the Federal Reserve or the Fed system. We're not a bank. We're not a so the rates that the Fed when the Fed changes rates, that mostly affects participant in the Fed system, meaning direct banks or financial institutions that operate in that environment, right? So if the Fed raises rates, they're trying to get banks and financial institutions increasing their cost of capital, and that usually slows down lending, slows down financial activity, and that's going to slows down the U.S. economy, right? That's the whole intent, is to protect, because basically inflation usually happens when things are happening too fast, right? There too many people are taking too many loans or moving too fast, and here the Fed will be slowing everything down, right? To avoid us having runaway inflation or having basically financial markets that are operating out of whack, right? So it does not affect us directly. We are not borrowing from the Fed. We're not sending assets to the Fed like other institutions. So most of our borrowing and lending has to do with what we pay the community, what we pay other lenders. So, for example, we pay Tether less than we pay you guys. Like when you give us stable coins, we pay you 8.5%. I can tell you we pay much less than that when we take loans from Tether, right? So, and we always said that we rather pay you, right, than pay other lenders that lend us dollars or stable coins or whatever we're borrowing from them. So, just like we rather pay you a referral fee, the $50 to bring new customers, than paying Google or Facebook, right? Well, how does the community benefit if we paid Google or we paid some stadium to put our name on it, right? $700 million. How do you guys benefit from it? You understand? So Celsius is I would say the only company, right? FTX, everybody else, like Crypto.com, Coinbase, everybody spending billions, not hundreds of. They used to spend hundreds of millions. Now they're spending billions, competing with each other, not with us. They're competing with each other for all these slots, and they're chasing each other. God, they got Matt Damon. Okay, let's get who's the best basketball player? Let's get him.
LeBron James.
Who's the best, the most, whatever, the highest paid guy in Hollywood? Okay, let's get him, right? And they're just throwing money at all these people like crazy, thinking that somehow all of you guys are going to be impressed because their name is on a stadium or because some basketball player said, oh, I use FTX or I use crypto.com, right? So we believe that, everybody on this call is smarter than that. And you got to see through it and basically just say, okay, well, who actually pays me the most? Who has the safest platform? Who is acting in my best interest? And on all those things, I think we win consistently, right? We pay the highest. I don't know anyone who pays $50 for referrals, right? I don't know anyone who gives 1% loans with no origination fee, no early termination, no whatever. I don't know anyone who gives you 12 hours when you have a margin call, and then you can talk to people 7 days a week to see what if you have a problem or whatever. So so all those things are we measure our success with our own actions. We compare it to our own action. We don't compare it to an ad that Coinbase does on the Super Bowl. right? That's not that doesn't mean anything for us, right? So we measure it based on retention, right? Okay, we added whatever 6,000 people last week. Otherwise, where is your protection, right? If everything is attached to the Fed, then you didn't create anything, right?
Yeah, that sounds good, and it's good to hear that. Really quickly, I just wanted to end on a couple things. Congressman who was seemed very educated on what Bitcoin was and cryptocurrency. I know there was somebody on here earlier who was asking about crypto in Washington, and everything seems like everybody hates it. I do think there are some people fighting the good fight, and I do think it is a good. I mean, I was really like, I was like, wow, this guy's in Washington, and he knows like, he knows a lot more than I expected. So I think I want to believe that we're moving in the right direction. Many times, and I haven't had any problems. It's like the greatest thing ever. You know, and just if you're like Zach, I know I believe his name is Zach, he was being like cautious, but like I've sent like a good amount, like multiple times. Coinbase. But yeah, all right, guys, have a good night.
Yep. Thanks for the feedback. We're working on it. We're getting those, the last amigo out of jail. So almost there.
Thanks for coming up, Joey. Next up is Lou.
Hey, Alex. Great for you to join us tonight. So I missed out on the equity raise that you guys just did because I didn't want to commit to the large amount that they wanted, 300,000. So I've done the Banks of the Future, which has been a complete disaster, as you may or may not know. They're limiting it to 99 American residents. So I think as U.S. citizens, we're getting hosed on it, and we're all dark. They don't tell us what's going on, So my question is there any chance you guys can reopen just to U.S. Celsians that would like to invest directly with you?
So I think Back to the Future is still like they have to finish some due diligence thing. I don't. It's not like they're off. I don't think they opened it yet, right? So it's not. It hasn't been available.
Correct. Not. Yeah. So I'm
right.
thinking we're wondering if we're just missing out altogether or what,
No, you haven't missed anything yet. It hasn't happened yet. So I think we mentioned before, if you're doing, I think it was 300,000 or more, you can contact us directly. If you're doing less, then you have to wait for them.
Well, can I still? That's closed on for the direct at this point. It closed like I don't know back in April, January 19th or something like that.
Yeah, if it's closed, it's closed. I don't really know what the. But again, we still have an allocation for Bank to the Future, and they just need to open it, and they'll open it until it's maxed out or until it expires. So again, hopefully they'll get it done soon. I don't have I saw what's his name, the CEO of Bank to the Future put a post on their channel. So if you want to know the latest, you can follow them and see what we don't control that, right? They're basically using a broker dealer who's gonna run that offering and in a compliant way in the countries where it's allowed to be provided. So you have to really follow them again, we still have an allocation with them.
Okay. Other thing, just on the service side. So I sent crypto from an exchange a couple of weeks ago on a Friday, of course, and I woke up Saturday morning and the money wasn't there in Celsius. Of course, I panicked and saw the transaction was, the transaction gone through, but the money never made it. So it's the disaster situation. Called your service team as soon as they opened at 10 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, I had my crypto. So your service kicks butt on the weekends. You guys are doing it right. And that's why I want to invest, because it's just a great platform. It does everything right. It's simple. It's easy. It's functional. It's the best yield, and I feel safe with my money there. I mean, there's two places I like putting my money. That's in my hard wallet and with you guys. I sleep well. So
Yep.
kudos.
If you sleep well, that's all that matters, right? I always say that on AMAs and in person. Tell people, look, the best gauge as to are you doing the right thing is, are you sleeping well at night, right? We, as you know, we recovered over $50 million for over 4,000 Celsians. And again, many times it's blockchain error, or like again, the address or the memo wasn't provided, or and they sent it on the wrong chain, not understanding that they were on not on layer 1 or layer 2 that we support. So there's a million reasons why. And imagine if every time you sent an email out to somebody, you would have to check, okay, what email system are they on, and what network are they connected to, and can I send them email directly, and what if the email doesn't arrive? Who do I call to see if how do I get that email to the other side? That is the nightmare that we're living through every day with crypto, especially now with multi-chain. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and many times these things get stuck in translation, and unless you have really um, sophisticated and capable team that is dedicated to this stuff, and again, you want to take the action, right? I mean, Binance can put 10, 20 engineers to resolve all these problems for their customers. Other exchanges can do that. They just decide not to, right? It's not their headache. You made the mistake. It's on you, right? So when you send them stuff, right, and it never arrives. So just imagine again, we recovered $50 million just this year, right? I think. Well, I don't know if it's only this year. It might be also some of it belonging to transactions last year. But the point is, it's a lot of money, right? That imagine the pain of how many people, thousands, over 4,000 people, the pain they went through thinking all that money was lost, and suddenly it just appears in their account, right? I mean, Christmas came early this year for all these people.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what happened to me. I had that gut wrenching feeling when the money wasn't there, and I didn't get my email
Wait,
saying,
you got it resolved the next day. What
yeah,
about the people who were sitting there for 6 months thinking it's
oh,
lost forever? Can
right.
you imagine?
Yeah, I guarantee you, I would not have had this experience on Coinbase. I know how they work, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
lucky to get through. With you guys, you got through. They took care of it. It was just like a dream. I mean, it was just like Saturday. It didn't matter. It got done. Your team on the corporate side that does that is solid. So great job.
yeah. Thanks, and again, compliments go to the team for working around the clock to resolve all these things.
All right. Well, thank you much, Alex. I really appreciate your time, and thanks
Yep,
for everything. Do good, and then we all do well.
yep. That's the formula. That is the way.
Thanks for coming in, Lou, again. Thanks for coming up. Voss, you're up next.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I just had a super quick couple of questions. Number one, I just thought, I guess the end game for any company or successful company is to either go public or get bought by someone. And I was just wondering what the kind of long-term view or the threshold is for Celsius to either go public or sell. Is it 100 million users and then you hang up your boxing gloves, or what's kind of the long term?
Well, depends on what kind of cell you're talking about, SELL or CEL. You know, if you're talking about CEL, then you got the right plan. You know, the again, this is my third unicorn, right? So it's not this is not about, oh, I want to die with even more money, because if I die with even more money, people will remember me for a few more days. Oh, that rich guy, yeah, he died even richer. He had even more money when he died, and he gave it all away to his kids or some charity or whatever, right? So we all, when we're kids, right, when we go to kindergarten and maybe even like early school or middle school, they teach us all these things about giving back and appreciating the elders and doing good and putting others first and sharing and all that stuff. And then somehow when we grow older, we forget about all that stuff and we move to try to accumulate as much as we can, right? And we kind of celebrating the people who accumulated the most. We're not celebrating the people who gave the most. We are celebrating the people who accumulated the most. So why is that? What is so exciting about people who accumulated the most? So what is an IPO? An IPO is an event, it's just another day in which people who get in early are dumping on people who can't wait to get in on the next big thing, right? Let's take the Coinbase IPO. Coinbase IPO marked the top of the Bitcoin market in 2021, right? The first half, Coinbase goes public that day. This is the same day was the high for Bitcoin. It crashed afterwards. And both the employees of Coinbase as well as the shareholders of Coinbase just dumped on all of these excited retail guys who said, "Oh my God, I'm gonna buy the stock of Coinbase. They're gonna make me rich. This company is amazing," right? So, is that good for the community? Who benefited from that day? Did the crypto holders benefit from that day, or what happened right after? Did the retail guys who bought coin shares benefit from it? Who benefited?
Sure. So, but if you're if
Isn't
you've
there a
got
lot for you?
if you're a shareholder in Celsius or whatever, I suppose you kind of need one of these events either to sell or to go public in order to realize the shares that you own, right? Like how do you ever
Well, so
reach
private,
financial freedom?
yeah. So private companies, let's say that we are a very successful private company and we do a dividend, right? We basically say, okay, we accumulated, I don't know, $1 billion because we've been doing this for a while, and we've done so much good for the community that we have excess cash, and we distribute that to the shareholders, right? We do a dividend distribution as a private company, not as a public company, right? Then everybody owns a piece, including the people who bought into this or that round, get a piece of that distribution, right? So that's what private companies do. If you own a business, let's say you own a cleaning business, right? And you have excess cash and you give yourself and your partner a dividend, right? You guys divide it 50-50 or whatever. This will be the same thing. Just instead of dividing it between two people, we might divide it between 30 people or as many shareholders as we have. So an IPO is not always the best way to realize value. Again, Celsius, if you invest in Celsius, you get to participate in many of our subsidiaries. You own a piece of our mining business. You own a piece of our CelsiusX. You own a piece of the NFT business we're launching. You own all these things, right? Automatically, because you are participating in the parent company that owns all these things. And we may decide from time to time if to raise money or take a company public or sell something. And obviously, you'll have pro rata participation. The same way you have pro rata participation when you are in the Bitcoin pool or Ethereum pool or any other pool where we divide the yield created among all the participants on a pro rata basis, right? So yes, I'm the CEO, I'm the largest shareholder, and you effectively trusting me to act in your best interest. It's also in my best interest. And you just need to think to yourself, okay, are the interests aligned? Is there something that Alex does for himself that he's not doing for me? When he does something for himself as a shareholder, it hurts me as a shareholder. Or when he does something for himself as a CEO of Celsius, it hurts me as a user of Celsius, right? Those are the things you have to watch for. As an example, and again, this is public information. It's not like I'm giving you something you don't know. The CFO of Coinbase sold all of her shares, all of them. She didn't leave herself with one share on the day the company went public. And then the stock dropped by over 50%. So obviously she knew something. She wasn't going to sit and wait, right? So these are things that are obviously not good for the community. It's not good. That's not what we're trying to build. We're not trying to build another Wall Street where the insiders, the people who are close to the plate, are taking advantage of the knowledge they have or the relationship that they have or the fact that they're working inside this or that company to benefit ahead of all of us, right? So at Celsius, we try to create a platform that gives everybody equal opportunity. It doesn't matter if you have $100 or $100 million. Doesn't matter if you live in the United States or you live in Vietnam or the Philippines or Argentina or whatever. Everybody gets the same access. Everybody's treated equally. Everybody benefits on a pro rata basis. Everybody gets the same opportunity. These are all things that we, as humans, we all agree, right? There's zero disagreement worldwide about these things. Even though we might be fighting over trucks in Canada or over whatever, who's allowed to run boats in this water or in that water, or who can fly over this country or that country, or we have troops on this side of the border and troops on that side of the border fighting over where the border is. All these things are things we may have disagreements on. People disagree, but we all agree on kind of the fundamentals of us as humans, right? And very, very few companies, very, very few organizations deliver on that. Few, like I can't count even 5 of them. That's how few. And they all like just like they this expression, never meet your heroes because you always be disappointed. You know, every time we get disappointed. The more time goes by, the more we're disappointed with these companies. The more we discover that they're actually not doing what they were supposed to do. Right? So our number one priority, and I spent the entire day today and yesterday with my management team. Everybody reports to me, plus a few other people. It's like 18 people, right? Or something like that. The entire day, just digging through this. What does it mean to put the customers first? What does it mean to listen to our customers? What does it mean to have a flywheel that is based on doing good and then doing well, right? Kind of drilling through that again and again and again to make sure that everybody understands it and everybody makes decision based on that, right? So again, it's easy to say these things, but it's very hard to actually act on it, right? And if you don't see it in the actions of others, if you watch what other companies do, not what they say, not what their commercials say, what they actually do every day. Okay, when they quote your price, take the few extra seconds and go to some other website or some other app and get a competing quote and see how much they're really charging you, more than, for example, Celsius, or more than Binance, or more than whatever, and see, okay, am I getting a fair quote or not a fair quote? If you're seeing you're getting a shitty quote, guess what? You're getting a shitty quote every time. You're going to continue getting a shitty quote until you stop using that company. So all of us have to vote with our pockets against people who are not acting in our best interest and for the people who are acting in our best interest. Okay, again, if Costco is acting in your best interest, you should go and shop at Costco every time. And if your local store charges you twice as much for milk, you should stop buying there. Right? Now, we all do that, but somehow when it comes to banking or finance, we have no problem using a credit card that charges us 29%, while we're only getting paid 0.1% from the same bank when we give them our money. When we take the money, it's 29. When we give it to them, it's 0.1. How does that work? How can that be logical or acceptable to any of you guys? All of you have a pair of scissors in your home, yet none of you take the scissors and cut the fucking credit card in 10 pieces and say, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this shit anymore. Right? So that's taking action. That is voting with your pocket. That is changing your behavior. That is building your financial freedom. That is moving in the right direction, making the right choices. And if you don't take that action, there's no one else you can blame. No one. You can bitch about the government, you can bitch about the Fed, you can bitch about whatever, but you have the choice. You can either do right, you can act in your own best interest, you can join the community that you feel is moving you in the right direction, or you can stick with the bank and keep complaining and tell everybody, look, I can't move ahead in the world. I'm stuck and the whole system sucks and no one is helping me. And, I hate all these people and whatever. Right. So we're trying to build a better place. We're trying to use these new rails to deliver for everybody on an equal footing. On this call, I'm sure there's people from at least 50 countries. Okay. And that's the beauty of it, right? Nothing like this existed even 10 years ago, where you could just pool a group of people that don't know each other, but they all believe in the same thing, and they all helping each other achieve the same goals. And we get the largest institutions to pay us. We get the largest guys, the largest exchanges, the largest execution to pay us fees, where normally they only charge us fees. Right? I mean, this is like magic. So all we need to do is just bring more people on this gravy train and make it 10 times bigger, make it 100 times bigger. Because if we are 100 times bigger, then maybe we will pay more to lobbyists in Washington than these banks, because these banks are going to shrink. Every dollar you take out of a bank, they have to shrink their loan book by $10. You have 10x leverage. Why? Because all these banks are leveraged 10 to 1, 20 to 1. When you take the assets, they're going to shrink their balance sheet. They're going to shrink their loan book, not their balance sheet, right? And so on. All right. I'm going to call it a night. I want to thank everybody for joining. Again, the community is what this is all about. And again, let's thank Josh and Zach and Scott and everybody else who is dedicating their Tuesdays and Fridays and weekends to getting all your answers, and you're taken care of. And the 800 people in Celsius who work day and night on new products, new services, fixing all the issues, developing new stuff, and making sure that we build a better future for us and for our children. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you on. I'm teaching a class at MIT tomorrow. If you're in Boston, come visit if they'll let you in, and I'll see you later. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, Alex. All right, guys. As our usual, we work very hard to keep these rooms going for you, keep this open dialogue. I am looking to have a pretty special guest for next week, so make sure you're following myself, Zach, and Scott, and stay tuned for updates on that. Hope you guys got something out of this. Have a good night.